Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's Eagles Now a part of your day. And as for what we're getting into here on the show, the Eagles held their second open OTA practice. So we have a lot of big, juicy storylines that we want to talk about from that practice session and looking ahead to mandatory minicamp next week. And also going to explain how the Philadelphia Eagles have drastically improved this offseason and why the arrow is pointing up for this football team. And you know the deal. No one likes us. We don't care. Let's talk some birds right now here on the show. As for those marquee OTA storylines, and also this carries us into mandatory minicamp next week, let's run through those here. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on wide receiver 3 and wide receiver depth. This continues to be a weakness and an issue for the Philadelphia Eagles. And with DeVonta Smith not at OTAs last week, Joseph Nakobe alongside A.J. Brown was wide receiver 2. And A.J. Brown, credit to him, he signs that massive contract. He's been at both weeks of OTAs. That goes a long way as far as him being a leader of this team. And Joseph Nakobe, he's certainly been up and down. He did have a drop in 7-on-7s from a ball from Jalen Hurts. But he does have really intriguing size. But the point here being is that if A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith were to get injured and Joseph Nakobe has to step in on the outside, you start to have some question marks there. Because if they were to get hurt, that is certainly problematic. Now, the Eagles right now do have multiple options at wide receiver 3. Paris Campbell performed well last week at OTAs. He had a good connection going with Jalen Hurts, 4.3 speed, but he's been injured so much. I'm curious to see if Britton Covey gets an opportunity as a pass catcher in this offense. John Ross was running with the second-team offense. He did catch a long ball from Kenny Pickett, and then Kenny Pickett underthrew him, and that ball was intercepted by Mekhi Garner here on this Thursday. Anaya Smith coming off that stress fracture. I'm interested to see if he could have an opportunity to claim wide receiver 3 because at 5'9", 4'5" speed, he's a prototypical slot wide receiver in this league, and Johnny Wilson is not that. He's the tallest wide receiver in the National Football League, so to me, more on the outside. But could he get some reps? And again, if Brown or Smith were to go down, you're relying on some players here who do have some question marks hovering over their helmets. As for the top free agent wide receivers remaining in free agency, we've talked about Hunter Renfrow here on the show. I think that he would be a good scheme fit. Kellen Moore would be able to utilize him. He's also a good scheme complement to A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. I'd stay far away from Michael Thomas. After he got off to a historic start the first couple of years with the New Orleans Saints, he has not been able to stay healthy over the last several years. Jarvis Landry might be washed. He's coming off a tryout with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but did not sign. Mecole Hardman is interesting because unlike Paris Campbell and John Ross, who were fast but injured, Hardman, he's been able to really stay healthy for the most part throughout his career. And then Sterling Shepard rounding out that list of the top free agent wide receivers. I love the top 2 here. A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith are both elite. They form to be arguably the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League. But after that, Eagles might have to make a move via trade, via free agency, just to shore up that position a little bit because question marks remain at that position group. Will James Bradberry show up? He did not show up to week 1 of Philadelphia Eagles OTAs, and he did not show up once again to week 2 of OTAs. Now, last week, it was Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, and Avonte Maddox as the first-string Eagles secondary unit. Here on Thursday, Darius Slay, James Bradberry, C.J. Gardner-Johnson not there. So Isaiah Rodgers once again running with the ones. Keely Ringo, who was not at practice last week, also running with the ones. Tyler Scott was the starting nickel, and Avonte Maddox took over alongside Reed Blankenship at starting safety. With James Bradberry, the contractual issue could be a problem here. Pre-June 1 cut, that's $15.1 million in dead money. Obviously, that's not in play. Eagles would save $10.8 million if they cut him before the end of this month, which is coming to a close. Post-June 1 cut, $4.3 million in dead money, $0 in cap savings. A big part of that is that Bradberry has a guaranteed option due in 2024 worth $9.64 million, which is why the contract is an issue, as I stated. Per Over the Cap, more contract details here in finer print. Bradberry originally signed that 3-year, $38 million contract with the Eagles with $20 million in guaranteed money. His 2023 and 2024 base salaries fully guaranteed, and he will also receive a $7.685 million signing bonus. There is a guaranteed option due in 2024 worth $9.64 million, as we said. If on the roster in 2025, Bradberry will earn an option bonus worth $16.5 million, and the final 4 years of the contract are void years used for salary cap purposes, which really is a Howie Roseman staple. I can tell you this, there's no way that Bradberry is going to be on this team in 2025 with that option bonus due of $16.5 million. Philadelphia can spread out that guaranteed money over the last couple of years as well to make it easier, by the way, for them to absorb that cap hit. And sticking with the corners, Kelee Ringo not there last week. He's there this week. I think that's important for his development because he has an opportunity really to get some really good playing time this year in 2024. And Isaiah Rodgers continues to run with the ones more because of players not there. But that goes to show me and tells me that the Eagles coaching staff starting to trust him a little bit. And Kelee Ringo, he nearly picked off Jalen Hurts downfield in 7-on-7s. Good coverage on Paris Campbell. Just couldn't finish the play, but he was able to notch the pass breakup. And then with the rookies, Quinion Mitchell continues to play with the second-string defense on the outside with Cooper DeJean as the nickel for the starting second, or I guess I should say, for the second-string defense. A lot of moving parts here as we're breaking this down on the fly. And then with the third-string defense, Cooper DeJean has been getting reps at outside corner. I imagine Philadelphia's trying to figure out where can we utilize him best. Outside corner, inside corner. I think his pathway to playing right away is that slot nickel. Of note, Eagles have not yet played him at the safety spot. They continue to be adamant that Cooper DeJean is a corner, or at least they want to see if they can play him there. To the safety position, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship, as of right now, going to be the starters if no other moves are made. Sidney Brown still recovering. Mekhi Garner in OTAs has made some good plays on the football, notching an interception and a couple of pass breakups. Will C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship continue to be the starting duo? Tell you this, C.J. Gardner-Johnson looking fresh in the new number 8. He's rocking the number 8 to pay homage to his favorite athlete of all time, the late, great Kobe Bryant, and of course, Philadelphia legend. And let me throw this out there once again. Justin Simmons is still unsigned. He is still searching for a team to land with in 2024 in free agency. And the reason why Justin Simmons is still an option, if you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Justin Simmons as your two starting safeties with Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship as your backups, not only do you have an elite starting combination, but you have some really viable backup options, and it fortifies your depth. Justin Simmons is still playing at an all-pro caliber level, and he has scheme familiarity, and that gives you scheme continuity because he played under Vic Fangio, and it's not like him entering his age 31 season. He's cooked, like we've seen from older players. I don't think he's going to be washed overnight like James Bradberry was. Going from 2022 to 2023, I still think Simmons can play at a really, really high level, and I would not rule out Simmons being a part of this team as we get closer to training camp. Eagles are trying to see what they have right now at that safety spot, and of course, they'll continue to monitor that position. Cooper DeJean, by the way, a nice pass breakup along the sideline, so he getting acclimated with this Eagles defense as well. Other OTA storylines here for the Birds. Who are the starting off-ball linebackers going to be? Good news here on this Thursday. Nakobe Dean back at practice, partaking in 7-on-7s. He was the starting off-ball linebacker alongside Devin White. Zach Bond did have an interception of Jalen Hurts off a deflection. He continues to turn the heads of that defensive coaching staff, in particular, the defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. So a little bit of a competition going on, I would imagine, between Dean and Bond. What's the edge rusher rotation going to be like? It's hard to gauge in OTAs because there's not any trench play, just 7-on-7s. But Vic Fangio is going to ask his edge rushers to drop back in coverage. The backup center, backup guard spots. Where does Trevor Keegan fit in? He only played left guard in college and played very well at left guard for Michigan last year. He's continued to just play left guard. Dylan McMahon, late round pick out of NC State. Is he going to be the backup center? Matt Hennessy can play center. He can play guard. He's been backing up Tyler Steen at right guard. I want to continue to see what Kellen Moore is going to bring this offense as far as his play designs, his scheme, and his play calling. And a play on words here, give me more motion. Eagles dead last in that category last year. It's not going to be the case with Kellen Moore, and I'm excited about that because it helps out your offense, it helps out your quarterback, and it helps you gain an edge on the opposing defense. And then Avonte Maddox's role. Eagles are high on him as a safety. You know, he was the option there in the wild card round. They continue to give him reps there. He was running with the first team defense at safety because of players not being there. And then he was also running with the first team defense last week when Darius Slay was there. James Bradberry was not at slot. So that improves his chances of making this Eagles roster. Tell you what, this gets me pumped up. So many takeaways from OTAs. I'm reacting live to all of the tweets and updates as they come in from practice and giving that to you on the fly. Put it in my veins, man. The adrenaline is flowing. If you love talking Eagles football, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Speaking of Quinion Mitchell, by the way, he continues to play really well. Isaiah Rodgers, a pick 6 on Jalen Hurts. How about that? Get your Quinion Mitchell jerseys right now at chatsports.com/Quinion. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Coming up next here on the show, and stay tuned, at the end of this segment, more OTA takeaways as I take a look at some of the happenings from Eagles practice. First, though, are the Eagles drastically improved? NFL.com listing the Birds as the second most improved team in the NFL this offseason. And here's their list of their top 5 most improved ball clubs in the league. Number 1, Chicago Bears. Easy to see why. Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, they were active in free agency. I liked what they did in the NFL draft as well. Philadelphia Eagles made a bunch of moves in free agency and in the draft, and I think they improved dramatically. So the Birds checking in there at number 2. And then the New York Jets, they fortified the offensive line, made what was a disastrous unit a little bit better. Detroit Lions have spent a lot of money. They made it to the NFC Championship game last year. They're not settling with that. And the Pittsburgh Steelers needed to get better at offensive line. They needed to improve at quarterback. You could check the box off in both of those areas. At the quarterback spot, we'll certainly see, but they were aggressive in trying to make that position a little bit better and getting rid of Kenny Pickett, bringing in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Here's what the NFL.com website had to say about the Eagles getting a little bit better. All the chaos, that festered around the Eagles late last year has been eclipsed by another strong offseason. Let's start with the coaches. Having Kellen Moore calling plays on offense and Vic Fangio running the defense will make Nick Sirianni's job as head coach much easier. The signing of running back Saquon Barkley gives the offense another dynamic weapon, while the defense added a disruptive edge rusher in Bryce Huff to replace Hassan Reddick and a critical leader in the secondary in C.J. Gardner-Johnson returning. Philadelphia also killed it in the draft once again. The squad needed more help for a woeful pass defense and ultimately landed 2 stellar defensive backs with its first 2 picks in Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. The Eagles still need to figure out how to avoid what led to their implosion in 2023, but they have enough talent to think a return to the top of the NFC East is a likelihood. So that's what NFL.com had to say. And I have a lot of the same thoughts for why Philadelphia has been able to improve. And I've said this for a long time. I think better, more experienced coordinators who are setting you up to succeed offensively and defensively, who have much more experience as compared to Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, just make this team better all around. And they have chops. They've had units that have been some of the best in the NFL. So I love the coordinator hires here for Philadelphia. The Birds, offense wasn't an issue really until it sputtered late last year. If there was an issue, it was the lack of consistency because Brian Johnson had no rhythm as far as his play calling. But you still have DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, still a really good offensive line, even though Jason Kelce retired, and you added another weapon in Saquon Barkley. So you have offensive skill player continuity in addition to that new weapon. The secondary has drastically gotten better for what was a historically bad passing defense last year. Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean are going to be able to help you. Isaiah Rodgers going to be able to help you. Darius Slay still playing at a really good level. You're hoping for leaps from Kelee Ringo and Eli Ricks. Off-ball linebacker was addressed. Nakobe Dean back healthy, of course, helps you, but Devin White is the most gifted linebacker this team has had in a really long time. And then Zach Bond and Oren Burks are good depth pieces there, and you drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And on both sides of the ball, I just think that Howie Roseman was able to add some quality depth on this Eagles football team. More updates here from OTAs. The Cooper DeJean pass breakup along the sideline. Isaiah Rodgers perfectly jumped a Jalen Hurts pass over the middle, intercepted it, took it back for a touchdown. Kelee Ringo nearly picked off Jalen Hurts downfield. Hurts tried to hit Paris Campbell, but it was underthrown. Nakobe Dean rotating in with the first team in 11-on-11s in addition to starting in 7-on-7s. Jordan Davis could have had a sack in 11-on-11s. Tyler Steen, first-team right guard. Mekhi Becton, first-team right tackle with no Lane Johnson. What else do we have? That's about it. In addition to what we talked about earlier, Kenny Pickett getting off to a good start, and then he was intercepted by Mekhi Garner, but he did have a couple of good throws, as Kenny Pickett looks to be a big upgrade over Marcus Mariota. Let's round out with this. The Eagles are a top what team in the NFL? Fill in the blank for me. As always, thanks for watching the show, and don't forget to subscribe.